Hello everyone and welcome to my office, which is actually on campus and I am actually physically in it, which is pretty exciting. The only thing that I find less exciting about this semester is that I can't be in a classroom with you all. Now, hopefully that'll be changing, but it won't be changing this semester. So I need you to bear with me because much like you, online classes during COVID really kind of made me sort of lazy. I kind of, was not putting as much into it as I normally do. But this year I am really excited to sort of rejoin the campus, and being in my office certainly helps. So the first thing you should know is that when I put on the syllabus that my office hours are from 1 to 3 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, that is absolutely true. The one thing I don't know that I put on there properly was that my office is in Siceliff 111, so 111. Now, some of you might be wondering why I'm not in Craig. I used to be, but this is my new office, my new home now. So I am in Siceliff 111. So far this week, I've been here from 1 to 3 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So that's how you can find me. Some of you have already figured out that if you email me, it takes me a while to get back to you. Some of you have figured out that if you text me, I answer pretty quickly. So thank you to everybody. And those of you who sent me, I think it was only one message on Blackboard through the Blackboard messaging system. I literally just saw it today. So I do apologize if it was up there longer. That's probably even less effective for me than email because it doesn't tell me when those messages come in, and so I don't know unless I go in and specifically check. So anyway, those are the ways to reach me. You can still use that messaging system, that's not a problem, but just so you know, my time frames might be a little bit slower on those messages and on email. So a lot of questions that you all have had have been exactly the same. What am I supposed to be doing right now? So probably one of the biggest problems I've had with online coursework is that we don't get a chance to talk and set you up for what this semester is going to look like. And you get the syllabus and you don't know what to do with it. So let me start off by saying the syllabus is going to be essentially your guidebook for this class. So if you look for week 1, and again, I did this by weeks so that we can be flexible a little bit, but also so that you know specifically what weeks we're going to have more than just reading assignments and that sort of thing. But for the most part, we're going to be somewhat flexible. So when I ask you to read a chapter for that week, that means that I intend to give you some sort of video lecture like I'm going to do today that will help you so that if you've read the chapter, by the time you get it, great, this is going to help you highlight and summarize what you learned. If you haven't read the chapter yet, it's going to tell you what parts to pay attention to, what's really important in the chapter, which this book outlines very clearly for you. And I will tell you that almost 90%, if not more, of my exams come from the book. So there's your first hint from me to you. So why are you getting this on a Thursday? So usually what I try to do is I try to dedicate a day to each of my classes, and I've got 3 classes. And what I mean by that is that's when I record videos, that's when I grade things, that's when I answer emails, and so on, that I can get away with answering on that day. And if you know what day that is, then you're going to be okay because you'll wait for that day, which I know is a little bit disruptive to you on the first week. But this week, yes, your only assignment has been to read chapter 1 of your book. That's it. I'm going to give you the little lecture today that guides you through that. My lectures should not replace the book. They are supplemental. They do not replace. So I won't read the book to you. I will highlight for you what I think is most important. You will get assignments during the semester. I don't put them all up front because way too many people attempt to do those assignments before they've been even taught how to do them. And I know that's probably not you all, but I've had it happen in the past and it becomes really problematic. So here's what I can promise you. If I put up a small assignment like a discussion board, you'll have a minimum of 5 days to answer that discussion board, to do that assignment. If it's an exam, I put up all of my exams for a week, and you can take it at your convenience anytime within that week. And those you already know when those are coming because they are on the syllabus. Big assignments, or bigger assignments, I should say, if I have you do something externally in the sense of going and finding some like article or research, or give you an additional article or something like that, you'll have 2 weeks to do at a minimum. Again, these are all minimums. These are not necessarily the maximum. These are minimums. So like your explication assignment might be, I might give you a full month to do that. The point is that I'm going to give you all the time that you need to do these assignments and more. So don't stress. This is a 300 level course, but it's also an introduction course. So it's an introduction to argumentation and debate. And just, because we're online, which I have never taught this course online, this is my first time teaching this course online. I've always taught it in the classroom, and when I teach it in the classroom, we have full-on debates. We can't do that here, so I'm gonna have to figure something else out, and I will. I'm certainly not going to make you all, pay for that in any particular bad way, so we'll figure that out. There will be a different project that we will do for that. So, with that in mind, chapter 1 of your book. I was just about to reach and show you the book, and then I realized I have it on my Kindle, so that's not very useful to you. But in case you haven't picked it up yet, the book that we are using is called Argumentation, or no, it's not. It's not called Argumentation in Human Symbolics. That's actually the name of the first chapter, y'all. This is called Arguments and Arguing, and I think I can show you the front of the book, perhaps. That's what it looks like in person and online. So if you get it through Amazon Prime or Kindle or whatever, and you have a digital version, or you get the digital version, that's what it's going to look like. But if you get the paperback version, it's going to look like that as well. So that's what it looks like. Hopefully that is the one that the bookstore gave you when you got your books. So in chapter 1, all we're trying to do is understand what we mean by the word argument, right? It tells us that arguments are not necessarily about being mad at someone. To have an argument with someone is supposed to be, believe it or not, productive. And so what are we not studying? We are not studying arguments in the interpersonal sort of setting. We are studying argumentation in the public sphere, argumentation for an audience, argumentation that comes to, hopefully, helps people make a conclusion, come to a conclusion, make a decision, and so on. And we'll talk specifically about how that happens as we go through the semester. But for right now, what I want you to know is that argumentation is, just like all other communication, a symbolic activity, okay? It is a process by which we create and share meaning, as Pearson and Nelson said way back in 2000. And when I just realized, so you probably weren't even born then, which kind of freaks me out a little bit, but I'm still using that definition of communication for me. So we know that we have different types of argument, and that's really small. I really need to get a bigger phone. There are different types of arguments that are based on the setting, the context, if you will. And we're going to be focusing on when we are trying to make a decision, so individual decision making, how public argument affects that. We will be looking at how we do sort of deliberative decision making, that is to say, they refer to it in terms of democracy. That's not wrong. That's not to suggest that it's political so much as to just keep the type of government that we have running. So there's a big difference between little d and big D Democrat, and little r and big R Republic. Okay, so keep those things in mind, that I'm not looking, when it says argumentation and democratic decision making, we're talking about democratic in the leadership style, when everybody shares some portion of responsibility for that decision making. We also know that arguments are generally based in our values. which is one of the things that makes them so personal to us, right? Like some people say to me all the time, they're like, I don't want to talk about my feelings. I don't want to talk about your opinion. Well, all argumentation is opinion. The question is it well-informed opinion or not? In other words, do you have some evidence to back up your opinion? There was somebody on Facebook who likes to harass me, and my Facebook profile is public for a number of reasons, so he can do it. But I don't know this man, I've never met him, but he likes to put things up to irk me, and I just don't respond. So the other day he was talking about masking and, go woke and you go broke or something like that. I'm not really sure. I didn't really understand all of it, but it was an anti-masking, anti-vaccination tirade, which I thought we got past like a long time ago. I was in PPE before anybody I know was, because I have an immune system that is almost zero. So I take chemotherapy every Friday, which makes my Mondays really hard. We'll get to that. But I take chemotherapy every single Friday. And so when I go out into the general public, I generally do have a mask on. That's for me. I don't care about anybody else, but that's for me to protect me, right? And so one would think that individual rights would be important to people like that. Well, he likes to bait me or try to get me to debate with him, and I refuse to do it. Because one of the worst things that you can do to someone is be unaffected by them. And so one of the things that I'd like to do is when somebody wants to have an argument, have a debate, start an argument with you about public issues, social issues, things of that nature, that that you can respond in an informed and critical way that also invites further discussion. Because the point of a debate is not to win it. The point of a debate is to actually have a discussion that somehow leads to a conclusion. If any of you, I'm going to use this because I think it's actually probably an old reference now based on how fast time goes, but I'm going to use the musical Hamilton and tell you that if you haven't seen it yet, you might not get this, but if you have, the entire cabinet battles that Washington had, Jefferson and Hamilton have, it's pretty well known that he forced them to do that. Why? Even though Washington was against having multiple parties, he really needed two sides of a position to be debated in order for him to make the best decision that he could for the country. And so Jefferson would argue one side, Hamilton would argue the other, and they would go at it, and then Washington would make a decision. And that's sort of a very firm dialectical way of talking about, or of coming to a conclusion, to critically analyze an argument or a debate based on evidence, based on experience, based on persuasion techniques. All of those things play a role, okay? So it's not just our opinion. It's not any of that, but it is based in values, and that's okay. We'll learn how to talk about that. There is a responsibility that we have in argumentation. There is an ethic to argumentation that we must adhere to and adopt, and that is that we go into a debate with the goal of gathering more information, or of sharing proper information, or of not giving, I don't know what the word is anymore. I've given up. Disinformation or misinformation. I think misinformation is when you actually counter, is it that you counter someone else and it's incorrect? And disinformation is when you put out facts that are, what's the word, alternative facts that aren't based in evidence. I'm not really sure, but you get the idea, right? So we have an ethical responsibility to our audiences to make sure that we are not sharing or spreading disinformation or misinformation. Now, what's funny about that is one of the things that drives me nuts, I'm not gonna lie, is that all conspiracy theories are misinformation, okay? or disinformation campaigns, okay? And this goes for, I don't care what political or personal ideology you have, it doesn't matter. Everybody gets into this. And I fall prey to it sometimes, where I'm like listening to something, it's like, wow, that makes sense. Let me go connect those dots. And I try to connect those dots, and yeah, it turns out it's just from, some random guy on the internet who said it, or some random girl who said it, or, them, as we always say, they say, right? Whoever they are, say. And oftentimes it's based on a radicalized idea. And it's our job to be able to critically analyze whether or not the information we're getting is informed, ethical, based in evidence of some kind, and that it produces a conclusion. Maybe it's a choice we're making. We conclude, but we need to come to some sort of conclusion. And essentially, that's what Chapter 1 is trying to tell you about, that this is not about your personal boyfriend-girlfriend fight here, right? This is not just about a presidential debate or what a current president said on the world stage or anything like that. This is about understanding in the public sphere how we argue and come to conclusions about policies, about what it is that we do value and we can agree on, and about the quality of things. Some people will make the argument that healthcare is great. I don't think I agree with that, but I would have to sit down and really explain why I don't agree with that, right? And they would have to really sit down and explain to me why they do think that the healthcare system is fantastic. So even when we're talking about the quality of certain social or political issues, we can engage in a debate that is ethical and helpful and critical to coming to conclusions. And so that's what we're going to do. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, Dr. Dudash, when are you going to be giving us these fantastic lectures that you're giving us right now? The answer is pretty simple, and I'm going to let you in on some personal information just so you know what's happening. If you text me on a weekend and I text something back that doesn't make sense, here's why. And that's not to say don't text me. I'm normally pretty on the ball if I'm answering a question. So I have several autoimmune disorders, and those autoimmune disorders lower my immune response system, which is why I've been out of the classroom for so long. In a way to keep those down, to keep the symptoms of those away, because there's no cure for them. I take a chemotherapy drug on Friday nights, and that makes me incredibly tired all day Saturday. I'm basically just laying around doing nothing. I do try to get up and get active to do stuff, but I'm very slow. And on Sundays, I'm sort of the same way, but on Sundays I take an anti-malarial. So by Monday, I'm a mess. So you won't normally see things from me on Monday unless I've uploaded the syllabus for you to have, or I'm uploading a test for you to have for the week, or I'm uploading an article that I want you to read, something like that. Maybe on Mondays you'll have that. Most of the time your lectures will appear, like I said, I work on my different courses for 3 days. So that's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday that I work on them. And your course is generally going to be on Tuesdays. So despite today, I worked on it this week. I kind of did things in a different order. I wasn't really prepared for this as much as I was for the others. So hopefully you'll forgive me for this week. But for the most part, I would say if you don't have a video or an announcement from me about a video by Wednesday of any given week, check in with me. I may have tried to send one out. Blackboard is not the best thing in the world, but of course we're switching over to a new program. Hopefully by the end of next year, we will all be on the new program, which I can't remember the name of it, but it's not going to be Blackboard because I know Blackboard messes up, okay? So I will be patient with you in uploading assignments and taking exams and stuff, and hopefully you will be patient with me in making my videos work. I always do my videos by YouTube links. I do have a YouTube channel. So in addition to all of this, if you want to subscribe to that YouTube channel just until you can finish the course, you're more than welcome to. I don't get anything from subscribers or anything like that. I know that I've had people subscribe and then they forget to unsubscribe, or they subscribe and unsubscribe, and it doesn't matter to me. I'm not looking for the numbers. So if you want to go onto the YouTube channel, there's there's older videos that you might find that are interesting, although I don't think you'll find any for COM 322. If you're in COM 350 or you're in COM 450, you might find something for those, but I don't think 322 I have much on there, so I apologize for that. Anyway, if there's any questions, comments, concerns, complaints, etc., as always, text me, call me, email me, message me on Blackboard, and I'm also going to post a discussion board for you today that says Dear Professor, and you can put any questions you want in there, and whenever I get to them, which hopefully will be on Tuesdays, I will answer them. If you need anything, as always, just let me know. Call or text any time of day. If I'm busy, sick, or asleep, I won't answer. I promise. I'll wait. I don't get mad when people, use my phone. That's why you have my private number. So use it wisely. Don't take it with you to a bar or a club or something, because that could get awkward. I mean, my number hanging out there. But otherwise, let me know when you need something, and we will get through this course, hopefully with relative ease. All right, I'll be talking to you next week.